everybody, and welcome back once again. Another edition of Inside the Headset, Week 2, Game 3. I'm with the head coach of the Oakland Patriots, Coach Thomas McDaniel. Coach, today's Tuesday. We're in a real short week. You played Friday night. Yesterday was Labor Day, day off. Even though you played Friday night, take us through kind of Saturday morning. You did your radio show, got to review some video. Floor's yours.
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical week for us now. Finally, get on a routine a little bit. And, you know, Friday night we come in, we usually eyeball the film for an hour or so. And then Saturday, staff has off, but my staff just chooses to come in and work together. So it's really more about evaluating the film from Friday and grading film, just peeking at the opponent and seeing, kind of what we, got to get ready for on Sunday. So I usually come in 6:30 on Saturday and stay till 2, something like that. Staff usually leaves by 11 or so, and then Sunday we meet at 1 or 2 o'clock. OEC, our Bush Club, feeds us that evening, and we work as late as we have to. So every week's different. The preparation this week is different than last week, just because of the amount of things that Siegel does. But Labor Day was not an off day for us. We labored on Labor Day. So, okay. We brought them in yesterday morning around 9 and had a good practice. Got after it pretty good for 2 hours. And then, I watched the film with them this morning before school, as far as watching White Station, just going back over the things that we got to correct because we played really sloppy. It's Siegel week. Kids are excited. It should be a good day of practice today. And then, it's obviously having the holiday yesterday, even though we practiced, it still feels a little off. It feels like a Monday for us. So, game prep, even though it's not really short, it just feels that way. But, that's fine. Kids like everything to go fast, and they really just, kind of sit and wait for Fridays every week. So, Friday will be here before we know it.
You hit it last week in our talk a little bit about how talented White Station was, but my goodness, number one, Gillon Mitchell, is he not an athlete? Coming in as a junior, he caught a little screen pass there and then just took off. Boy, they did have some guys, some money guys on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, they did. That particular play, the first play of the game, I guess going into the game, we knew when the kid had 180 all-purpose yards, I think, against South Panola. And if you do that, then you're pretty talented, just without even knowing anything about him. Played against us last year. He wasn't nearly as big. He's grown a lot. I think he's got a lot of basketball offers as well this past year.
Someone said he had his zip code is up around the rim, is what I hear.
So he, I think he's just really kind of transformed over the last 8 months or so. But anyways, based off watching him against Panola, we knew that he was very talented. We made him look really good the first play. Maybe singly the worst defensive play that we've had since I've been here. I just couldn't be any more upset about what happened on that play, and just inexcusable, sickening, whatever adjective you want to throw in there. Some of them being inappropriate. It was disgusting. But he outran us, and we didn't fit the perimeter the way we're supposed to. But it's a good teaching tool. Every play has a life of its own. You got to play every play. Obviously, the first play is no less important than the last play, but they're all important, and you gotta be in the right spot all the time. And all we did was we got out leveraged on one person, on one block, tried to sneak in there and jump the route, and he got pinned. And that kid was off to the races. And as you said before we started, there wasn't nobody going to catch him once he got out in the open field. So it was a good wake-up call for us. Obviously, to start the game is not the way you want it to go, but it was a good wake-up call. I think our kids responded really well because we didn't get down on ourselves.
Right.
And that was good to see. And even as a whole throughout the game, I thought it was a really sloppy game. We had some silly penalties. We missed some tackles, we busted some coverage, whatever. You can look at anything and everything. We didn't play particularly well, but a talented team can make you do some things like that. And they're very, like I said last week, very talented football team. They just probably have one of the toughest 3-game stretches to start the year as anybody in the Southeast. So for them to open up with Panola, us, and then Whitehaven, it doesn't get a whole lot tougher than that. But
they'll be a playoff contender. They'll be back around.
I mean, they started off 0-3 and then ended up making it to the semifinals last year. So got put out by Hendersonville. So they're very talented. And they do some things schematically that we're not going to see the rest of the year. I mean, they're the one team that will just get right up in your face, press man, and say, you got to throw it. And they put them all up there and say, these 7 or 8 are going to stop the run. You other 3 cover their 3. And we were able to hurt them.
They got in the backfield. They got a hold of your quarterback a couple of times.
Yeah, they did. They caused some timing issues, and then we hit some big ones on them. Stevens called a big fade. Drew pass interference 2 times that were big calls. Kyle Oliver had 3 or 4 real big receptions, 2 of them where he really showed what he could do in the open field. So, anyways, it's a give and take, feast or famine, so to speak, with their defense, and our offense, was able to capitalize on some things. But all in all, I think the biggest thing I take away from Friday was, we didn't play up to our potential. We didn't execute the way we wanted to, but our effort and attitude was there. The way we practiced last week and having that short turnaround, which we spoke about that. I really was, anxious to see how we'd starting off with such a bad play and be able to respond and have such a good mentality on the sideline and being involved in the game and just the energy level. Everything was so much better than the week before. So a lot of positives, a lot of things that from a coaching staff we need to be correcting. It's not really about the kids; it's about us preparing them better. And we were able to learn a lot, take a lot of things away from the game Friday.
Did you feel like your signal caller did a better job of managing the football game? It seemed like to me he was getting a little more in a groove, whereas I didn't feel like he got in that groove against Blackman, but he seemed like to me he did get in a little bit better groove and settle down and run the offense.
We played both quarterbacks Friday, and that was we're just still not sure what direction we need to go at quarterback. I thought Hafner did a really good job. At times against Blackman was very inconsistent. He made a couple plays late in the game with his feet to keep some drives alive. But Friday, whether it was because we rotated series or maybe it's because of what they do, I don't know. But it wasn't consistent enough. I mean,
it was better, but it's not where you want to be. You can't win it with C work, is what you're saying. Or B work. You got to have A work.
It was C work, and that's probably with some remediation in there. It's not good enough at quarterback right now. And the problem is we're trying to evaluate both of them and figure out which one is going to take the reins and go with it. Neither one of them will take the reins. Both of them are doing a good job. They're both they're doing above average, and I think we could win with either one of them. But neither one of them wants to take it and run with it. And it's like when one of them takes 2 steps forward, as one's taking a step forward, that one takes a step back. I mean, they even up. They won't separate. And, we've got to get that figured out the next couple of weeks. So I don't mind playing 2. If it continues that way, I'm fine with it. But if we're going to play 2 quarterbacks, both of their level of play needs to improve. And they're not the only position. We've got other positions where, Kyle Oliver had a big 50 or 60-yard catch, run after the catch, and we had just an ignorant penalty by an offensive lineman after the play. There's multiple things that we've got to get fixed. But all that being said, our attitude and effort's there, and that's if you got that, you can correct the other things. So being real coachable, having a really good attitude at practice, and that's what's most important.
Speaking of that quarterback, you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying the 2 halves got to make a whole. In other words, if we're playing 50-50, we got to have a 1 if we're going to go with that, or 1 needs to come on and be the leader. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, and the argument is, well, if you got 2 of them playing that can never get in a groove, I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm not a quarterback guru by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's one of 11 positions on the offensive side of the ball. If Josh Cunningham isn't doing a good job at tailback, I'm putting another one in there. If Kyle Oliver's not doing well at tight end, I'm putting another one in there. So there's supposed to be competition. I mean, you're supposed to be competing for your job every week. You're not just grandfathered in because you're named starter. And, we haven't been able to name that starter, but at the same time, we don't have a clear, definitive number 1. So with that being said, they got to compete. Yeah. And whether you do it collectively to come up with 100% or whether one guy takes the reins and runs with it, right now, we're working together and we're not getting 100%. You know, we're not getting what we need, and it's a lot of correctable things. It's a lot of things that can be fixed, but I'm just not seeing the improvement there for us long term with us what we're doing on offense that we need. Do I think it can happen? Absolutely. If I didn't think so, we wouldn't be doing it. But one or both of them have got to show vast improvement over the next couple of weeks, and I think they will. So, the biggest dilemma for us is figuring out, are we going to name one as the guy and start to cut? Because what happens is, for us, we work our backups close to the same amount as we do our ones, but your ones do have to get a little bit more preparation time. And so right now our quarterbacks are splitting 50-50 when it really should be probably 70-30. I don't know if you looked at the numbers for us in practice what our reps are, but we're going to give our starters a few more reps than the twos. And, so they're going 50-50 when one of them could be getting 70 and getting a few extra reps in practice. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really concerned about it right now. I really want to see how they play Friday. And, maybe somebody clearly takes the advantage on this next Friday. But right now, neither one of them's playing up to their potential, in my opinion. And I think they both feel the same way. So hopefully we can get moving in that direction.
Let's close out. Cunningham had a pretty good game. He had some runs in there, and you like to see that production on the ground.
Yeah, we had some good offensive production in the rushing game, especially considering they stacked them all in there. But
right.
Continue to say same thing I did with Blackman. Until we show that we're going to be very efficient throwing the football, they're going to continue to stack the box. Now, I think between the last two games we have shown that we can be more productive throwing the ball than we have in the past. We're a lot more dynamic out there. We made some big throws on the perimeter. We threw the ball vertically, pretty well. Still got to do the better job stretching the field horizontally on the perimeter run and perimeter pass. I'm talking about just get the ball out quick and let athletes be athletes. But like I said, I've continued to say the same thing. For us, it's really more about calling players, not plays. I mean, we just need to get the ball to the guys that can do things with it. And I think once we do that, it's going to even open up our run game more because we're so dynamic with Oliver and Stevens and Beasy on the perimeter that you have to really be gutsy to just play man coverage on them guys. And,
right.
I'm not saying Siegel won't do that. I'm just saying that if they do, then we've got to take shots. But you can't live in between. You're either going to say, hey, we're going to make you run the length of the field. And if that's the case, that's what we'll try to do. Or if they're going to try to stop the run, then we've got to throw the ball down the field and make them pay for it. So, Cunningham had some big runs. We got to play a lot of kids in the fourth quarter when we got up 35-14. I think the one disappointing thing, I thought our defense, with the exception of the first play of the game, I thought our defense played outstanding for the
Yes, they caught them in the backfield and they got losses.
Yeah.
They got yardage.
We ran to the ball really well. We scored a touchdown on defense. Our ones really did a nice job all night long. The only, like I said, with the exception of the first play, but disappointing with the amount of players that we have in the two deep that we feel like are close to playing. When our twos went in there, they didn't live up to the expectations. So I think that's a multitude of things. Obviously, I think White Station was talented, and they were pretty desperate at that point.
Yeah.
To try to score, and we had our twos in there when they scored when they got to when they cut it to 28-14.
Right.
But also, our twos. It's 28-7. You go in the game. Hey, the game's over. On mop-up duty. Sometimes we can lose our edge.
Yeah.
And not go in there with the right mentality. I think that was part of the learning. Learning lesson Friday is, hey, when the twos go in there doesn't need to be a drop-off in the intensity. We still got to go out and try to work to get a shutout every series, and we gave up too many big plays when our backups went in there. So that's something we can learn from as well. And we did some good things in the kicking game. Did some boneheaded things as well. Again, very sloppy. I mean, we recovered a fumble on a kickoff. About recovered two of them. Maybe we did recover two of them. We had two kicks that I think were either close to being recovered. I know we recovered one, but we may have recovered two. About got to the punter one time in the end zone, and we didn't sell out on it. But he really muffed the punt. We got great field position one time, and then another time we should have blocked and ran into the kicker. So field goal, we had 10 men on the field one time. So anyway, all that being said, for us to be this far into the fall camp, for us to did some really nice things in the kicking game, but did some really boneheaded things as well. Again, consistency focus and just having an attention to every play is the things that we got to focus on moving forward that we're not going to be able to get away with an opponent like Siegel.
Fun factor, how'd you feel? You want your team to have fun. You spoke about that several times and stressed it. Did you feel like you had those guys were having fun?
I did. I mean, we were pretty loose, on Thursday, and trying to change the culture a little bit about, I'm not really a fun guy on Fridays, but I understand and recognize that not everybody's as uptight as I am. So really trying to find a balance there on, making sure the kids are relaxed enough and not on too much edge. Didn't help that during pregame warm-ups, I had one of my classic meltdowns and went off on them. So, that could cause a lot of tension. Kids can get uptight real quick, especially when I blow up. I was really proud of my coaches and my players with my meltdown during pregame for them to.
Was that a correctable meltdown, or was it just something that just came up?
It was just, I just get tired of the individualism. I get tired of, we need to get out of me and get into we.
What's a me world? That's a problem.
It is,
right
it is, and I understand that, but we really try to guard against that. I mean, it's developed, like it's society, it's at home, it's everywhere. It's really hard to convince kids to buy into the team mentality when all that they hear about or know about outside of this locker room is me.
2-star, 3-star.
Yeah, and so and it's everything. It's the towels. Let me wear a different towel. Let me stand by myself during warm-ups. Let me, it's just it's not necessary. And if you don't fix it right now, they're gonna, especially for these guys that want to go play at the next level, they're gonna have a hard time. Because I think you watch culturally in any of the top football programs, there isn't any individualism, and I don't care, who you watch. And I'm definitely not going to say that UT is one of the top programs in the country right now, but you watch them Sunday, and you can just see a shift in their culture and what they're developing with the way they run on and off the field, the way they run across the field during the change of order.
Run to the line, just to snap the ball.
Everything that it's all about the team and this. Got to buy into that, and I think ours do. But then you got to guard against that individualism. And I just saw some things in warm-ups that I didn't like, and I thought it was a good opportunity for me to blow some steam, so to speak. And it could have been it was a risk. I didn't think about it at the time, but it was a risk because I could have lost them, and they could have been uptight. And really had some coaches step up and get them back focused on going and having fun. And kids really responded to it, and we went out and played again, especially considering the first play of defense. With what happened, could have been a real bad situation.
Yeah.
And we really, I think we grew up there. So again, a lot to learn from. Now Siegel, different type of opponent, and obviously, it's not a lot that has to be said getting ready for that game. It's a big rivalry game. I don't think when you look at the records, obviously neither one of us are where we want to be. 2 games in. They don't want to be sitting where we are, where they're at, and we don't want to be where we're at. But it's an opportunity for both teams. It's an opportunity to go out and play one of your big rivals, somebody that's just a few miles away. And, I think you always learn from the past, even though you don't look at the past. There are things you learn from it. I think a great example for us was last year. We thought that they would come in and lay down on us, week 2. And the guys that are playing for us right now know that Siegel, punched us in the mouth early in the game last year. So the playoff game was a little bit different, but regular season game, they gave us everything we wanted.
He lost a couple of his guys by the time he got to playoffs. He wasn't the same team.
But early in the year, they punched us in the mouth, and our kids thought that they would lay down, and they didn't. So I think that we should use that as a learning tool. And I think, I'm not going to use the cliche. It is what it is. The last time we went over there, we got spanked. And some of those kids that are seniors played on that team. And, so they may not, but I sure do remember leaving that field. And, remember the feeling I had when they hung 50-something on us in the playoffs. So we're going over there with a purpose. And, we're hoping we can, I'm hoping I can change my memories of Kenny Nolan Stadium or whatever, because the last time we were over there it wasn't pretty. So it's going to be a great environment. Both teams will be very excited to play. I know Greg will have them ready to play against us, and it should be a great game.
We'll wrap it up. They got a couple of guys. They got the Knox brothers in the house. What do you like about Siegel and what they do and just their execution and what do you like about their style?
Well, I mean, I think considering they've got so many guys playing both ways, I mean, you know.
They're young.
I mean, they're younger or inexperienced in certain spots, but both Knoxes, Greedy, you know, I think even the outside linebacker 32, 4, the corner, wide receiver, they got a lot of guys playing both ways. And considering as many guys they have playing both ways, as many snaps as they have, and the offense they want to run tempo-wise, their kids are playing really hard. I mean, he's getting a lot out, a lot of snaps out of a lot of kids because they're not playing a ton of guys.
That first game was like 170, they
yeah,
said?
I mean, I just like I said, 30, 32, 23, 28, 11, 4, those guys look like they never come off the field. And you know, they got some decent sized interior defensive linemen. I think Hillis has got some offers defensive end. 22, the other defensive end's a pretty active kid as well. But they've already had a couple injuries. I know they lost a linebacker for the year that they really liked. But I really, to be honest with you, I'm impressed with Middleton. I think considering where they were in fall camp, I think the kid's made a lot of plays for him, especially with his feet. You know, I think they're a little, you know, undersized on the offensive line, and they're having to, you know, kind of figure out what their identity is. They're going to do what they do, but he's made a lot of plays with his feet. You know, considering that he wasn't supposed to be that type of quarterback, I don't think coming in. They've still got dynamic players on the perimeter.
He's recovered from some jailbreaks.
Yeah, and you know, they got a really, I mean, seriously, I know it sounds silly, but they got a really good punter. I mean, their punter is...
Oh, their kicking game's always good.
Yeah, their punter is really good, and you know, hopefully we have to, you know, we make him come out there a lot. But their scheme is hard to defend. I think anybody that's played Siegel knows that. It doesn't matter, even when they had a little bit bigger front. Their scheme is set up to where they don't have to block everybody. You know, and I think that's part of the reason why Greg went to that scheme, was he felt like it was the best matchup for them in this league, personnel-wise. That they don't have to block everybody, and so you got to be very disciplined on the backside of things. A lot of times they got 2-for-1 plays within a play, and you know, it'd be a great challenge for us. We've had times where we've defended them well, we've had times where we've defended them very poorly, and the scheme has never changed. So hopefully we can handle the tempo. A lot of that's just getting lined up and communicating. We got a pretty veteran defense, so I don't think it should be an issue as long as we're communicating well, and you know, we can't allow them a lot of momentum early. You know, we gotta try to cut off the momentum early. And again, just going back on last year, I think the resiliency they showed. You know, we started off the game really hot against them, and I thought it was an opportunity for us to close the door on them quick, and they responded quickly. So he'll have them ready. They'll be ready to play.
No love lost between these two teams.
And it'll be fun. But we gotta go. We gotta get off to a quick start. And we got to establish the run game, and then, like I said, if they're going to set them all down in there, we got to make them pay on the perimeter and just not give up the big play defensively. If we make them drive the field, I feel good about our chances. We can't give up the big plays, whether it be in the kicking game or on the perimeter on defense. So it'll be fun. I'm excited about it.
All right, let's. So Oakland Patriots will go to Ken Nolan Stadium over at Siegel. That's Friday night at 7 o'clock. My better half, Miss Judy, she'll run that top view. I'm going to the backyard brawl. But I'd say there's 2 backyard brawls. That'd be Oakland and Siegel Friday night. So we will gather that up, and we will see you then.